Okay, Mary, sorry it took so long, but I have to take my time with these. Yours was very long. So next time we don't want it as long because I'm skipping ahead and then I might miss something important if you had questions about it. All right, so he has a good walk. He doesn't have a lot of overreach, but that's good for most people. So that's his flat walk. It's not very fast. It's not supposed to be. And then as he speeds up, yes, he does. I'm going to turn off your sound. He does go into a pace. Sometimes he goes into a trot. His canter's pretty decent. He's not cross cantering there, but he loses his back end kind of on the turns. That's normal for a lot of them. That just takes balance. But it's good that he paces and trots because it will help you to get a better canter. And he will usually be more sure-footed and be able to do more gates. I would recommend, since he's 5 years old, that you run him around before you try to ask him to work. I don't know if you did that or not, but I saw a lot of times you're working with them and then he wanders off because there's grass in there. Run him around, tire him out, and then work him. And then I would not have him loose. If you're trying to get him to walk next to you, keep him on the halter because otherwise you're just kind of teaching him that he can disrespect you and get away from you. So if you're walking around and I don't know where your stuff went. But if you're walking around and you want him to walk next to you, keep him on the halter. And that way he can't act up. When he's cutting into your space, you need to use one of those handy sticks. I'll send you a link instead of that long lunge whip. And then hit him harder in the shoulder with it because the lunge whip really doesn't do anything. So that's why he keeps messing with you. While you're lunging him here, you know, he gets a little confused at times. That's okay. This is a young horse, so that is normal. And a lot of times people are moving around a lot. So I tell people kind of stay back where their girth is. Try not to get up on their shoulder because when you get next to their shoulder, then a lot of times they will turn. But he has a nice relaxed walk here. Now, it depends what you're working on. If you're working on gait or just trying to exercise him, if you're just exercising him, it's totally fine if he trots or he paces. But if you're working on gait, I usually put him in a surcingle and side rein so they know what the difference is. So you just got to be clear. So here, as he got faster, he just, you know, he trotted and then I think he paced at one point, or maybe that was back further. But if you're working on gait, then I would use poles so he doesn't get pacey. And, you know, if he's trotting, you just slow him down. So there he is pacey. So there he could use poles because he either has a short pace, you know, a short strided, or he has a big trot. So if we're trying to get him to do a running walk as well as his flat walk, we need some way to get the information to him that he understands. But this is fine if you're doing this for, you know, I cut off because the videos send better if they're shorter. If you're just working on his gait, that's okay. But otherwise, I keep them a little bit farther away from me, give them more room so you can see what they're doing with their legs. And again, if he's getting into your space, then you're going to use a training stick instead of that lunge whip. Okay, so body position wise, you're a very nice rider. You're looking up. It looks like you know how to ride. The reine's going right up to your elbow. It could be because your knees, you might need your stirrup just a little bit shorter, so your heel's a little bit lower, but I know you're pushing him. When he's walking, he steps into his front hoof print. And so he doesn't have a lot of overstride. And as he's walking, he just looks a little tense. So you do want to try to get him to relax a little bit more when he's doing this slow walk or the trail walk. His head for that walk is a little bit high. And it's just because he doesn't look relaxed. That's why I'm saying his head is high. So he looks just a little bit stiff in his movement. So I would try to let him walk on a loose rein around the arena for a while. And drop his head low and then, you know, start your work. So now this looks like you're going into the flat walk. The hard part with the long videos is then it takes me forever to find what I'm trying to look for to help you with your gaits. So if you do it again to show me, you know, your slow walk, your faster walk, which is his flat walk, and then would be his running walk afterwards. So here he's stepping up more. That's good. He's more relaxed. His head is coming down more. And that's a very nice flat walk. You want to try as you're flat walking around the arena, you know, to do it 5 or 10 minutes. Every time that head comes up, try to hold pressure and get his head back down. But you're keeping the speed pretty well. I like to flat walk them in circles, like a 20-meter circle, because it helps them to learn to step up underneath themselves more. As he's pulling on you, which he's doing some of the time, you give with your hands. You probably don't mean it, but you are. So when he pulls on you, you want to brace and hold until he drops his head down. So his flat walk's good. You know, in time, he could use more engagement and impulsion, but I know this is a young horse. But I would stay more in like a circle for 5 minutes and work on that flat walk. But he has a nice head shake, and now he's starting to reach just over his front hoof print just a little bit. But you can do patterns, you can do serpentine, circles, leg yields, do all of that stuff at that flat walk. Okay, so here he gets a little bit faster. So he's reaching out and then he shortens his stride right up and his head came right up. So I'm going to show it to you again. Okay, see, because it's long, when I tried to go back, then I can't find the stuff. So he tenses up. Look where his head is. There's a loop in the rein, and he's going more towards a step pace. So as he goes faster, you're going to have to hold, make sure he knows to keep that head down. And then as he goes faster, you won't get this step pace. But the rein got loose, so he kind of got a reward for doing it. And you got to be really clearly giving them cues or they don't understand. So yes, it's nice and relaxed. The flat walk is very pretty, but as he went faster, and I'll see if it happens in other part of the videos. Sorry, I'm watching as the dogs are barking. But otherwise, you want to hold more pressure. If he picks up any speed, there he did it again. See how his head comes way up? So you got to block that head from coming up. And then he gets all those pacey steps in there, so he doesn't know that's wrong. So when they pace, you have a couple options. One, you stop them, back up, and go forward again. Another one is they pace and you just, you know, half halt and bring them back to their flat walk, but you got to do it really fast within a couple of seconds. Or you can spin them around, but you're trying to show when they pace, it's uncomfortable for them, so they don't want to do it. But when he's pacing, he's actually being allowed to do it, so he doesn't know that's the wrong answer. He figures out, oh, she wants to slow down, but he doesn't know the pace is an unwanted behavior. Okay, I don't like the way he stops here. As he stops, he's putting some pressure on the bit, and then you release and reward him for it. So I would want him to give to the bit and put his head down on the vertical. So he understands when you apply pressure to the reins that he's supposed to give to the bit, and that will help you as he is going faster as well. So as you start off, the same thing is kind of happening. As he goes off, he's putting pressure on that bit. He's kind of pulling you forward and he's not giving to the bit. So he needs to learn to give to the bit a little bit better. Nice turn on the forehand. So right here, you did a much better Where is it? Somewhere here it is. Given to the bit. That's what you need to do all the time. Every time you stop or anytime he's pulling on the bit, make him give so he knows each time that you're going to follow through and make him do that. Because that way when you ask him to slow down or you're half halting, he won't be pulling back on the bit, which is some of what he's doing at this point in time. Not right in this video, but you know, at this stage in his life. Now, I'm not positive if you're flat walking now, because now he's too slow for his flat walk. So it should be faster. Again, I'm kind of scanning ahead. So we need to make the videos just a little bit shorter so I understand what you're doing, or put sound on it so I can hear, you know, this is a flat walk, or this is what I think my running walk is. But right there, you got after him, but you want to hold a little bit more and be a little bit tougher with him so it's more clear to him when he's supposed to give to the bit. That's a better speed. So now that's a good flat walk. You just want to make sure you don't feel him pulling on your hands at all. So when they flat walk, it's fine if their head's up a little bit, as long as they're shaking their head and their back's not inverted. There, he got a little bit pacey again. It's okay. That time wasn't as bad. That was only a step, but the other times he got 5 or 6 steps, and that's when you got to be very clear. So for flat walk speed, I think that's fine. He does not need to be any faster for his flat walk. That's a good speed. So he does keep getting in those pacey steps here and there. And it can be the footing. Remember, as they go downhill, they'll get more pacey. So you want to make sure you go slow anytime it's downhill. If it's happening in certain parts of the arena, then it's the arena footing. So you can either cut those turns or just slow down before you get to those spots. But start memorizing where he is pacing if it's happening in certain spots so you can help him. And that's why a circle helps too, because if you're in a circle, it's not as much ground to cover, so there won't be as much different terrain for them to cover versus when you're going around the whole arena. It doesn't mean you can't go around the arena, it just usually helps to make it a little bit easier for you and for the horse. Okay, the rest of this stuff, like here, it looks like you're moving his hindquarters in, but I'm just not positive because you didn't say what you're doing. And sometimes people are working on one thing and that's not what it looks like. So to me, it looks like you're getting him pretty well broke. You're getting him to be able to move his shoulders and hindquarters. What I would do is I usually do all that stuff ahead of time, and then I work on their gait. So then the gait's the easiest part for them. And I work on their flat walk about 5 minutes each direction. And then if they're ready for their running walk, I start going on to their running walk. What I would do is recommend keeping him in a circle when you're doing your flat walk, but make like a 20-meter circle. I'd try to have his head down maybe just a tiny bit more. It seems like a lot of micromanaging with that bit. And that's what happens a lot of times with snaffle. I think he'd get a little bit more fluid motion out of him, and you'd be able to use your hands a little bit lighter if you switched to like one of the Myler short shank bits or something similar to that. He might be a little happier in it. Walking horses seem to go a little bit better in those than the snaffles. Or if you want to stay with the snaffle, then I would go to a loose ring snaffle so he can't lean on the bit. The ones that, you know, are stationary on the side, like the egg bud and the full cheek, they can lean on those. So otherwise, if you want to stick with the snaffle, try a loose ring snaffle. And then what I would do is as you're walking around, I would throw some poles here and there. So it'll help to separate his legs. He'll look down. It'll help him to use his muscles. And that way, when you do go to pick up more speed and try for the running walk, the poles will help to separate his legs. So they'll help to teach him what to do with his legs instead of him going towards that pace. So I'll attach a lesson video of a woman I was doing that with. And what you'll do is, as you get to the poles, you'll just flat walk and do your normal stuff over it. Since he's pretty young, you know, do that maybe a month or so. And then After that, you could try getting faster steps as you're getting to the poles. And what you do is right in front of the pole, you give a little bit of leg, ask him to speed up. I'm going to cut this because I'm trying to keep it short. And so you ask him to speed up over the pole, and then after the pole, if he has a running walk, then you can keep going. But if it goes right back to the pace, then you slow back down. And so what you do is just keep speeding up in front of the poles and slowing back down by half vaulting afterwards. And you just repeat that over and over again, and that will actually help them to build up the muscles to hold the running walk and show them what to do with their feet. If you're trail riding this horse, then what you want to try and do when you're trail riding is anytime it goes uphill, there's an incline. You want to slowly try to add more speed to his walk. But you want to keep his head down and his back relaxed, because if he gets his head up or your reins get too loose, he's going to go to that pace because that's so easy for him to do. For them to do their flat walk and then the running walk, they have to engage themselves, they have to drive with that back end, and they have to have some semi-collection. You don't want them over-collected either. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. If I missed stuff in there because I scanned through it, let me know, and just let me know what minute it is at so I can check. And then if you do more videos, then shorter's the better, and just put, this is his flat walk, this is his running walk, this is me doing his shoulder in. Because I can usually tell, but it's hard, and I'm so busy that I try not to miss anything when I'm doing these, and I'm trying to help you as much as I can. All right, let me know if questions.